Why doesn't Nico deliver? Because Nico has a son. Anyway, enough with dry jokes. The thing is, Nicholas Jackson is one lucky human being. Every time since last year, we have tried to get a striker to compete with him. Either the deal collapses or the person gets injury, and the newest culprit is Makugui. The moment last time we were trying to say, can Maresca also try Makugui in training? Now it looks like he has a long injury, and now we are stuck with Neko. But tomorrow's game, he will probably not play because he also had a minor injury in the last game. So he could play, but he might not play. But that is our topic of discussion today, because if he doesn't play, and not just this game, like in future or in other games, the transfer window is ended. Now, if Nico is not there, we don't have like a replacement number 9. The only people that can replace him now, like the only person, is Nkunku. And this, we have all been discussing. Every time we were saying, if Nkunku, every time they brought in Nkunku as a substitute, he wasn't playing with the same energy, with the same press like we will expect of a striker. And that's why we also wanted to try Gui. But now it looks like we'll be stuck with him if Jackson is not there. And I was thinking, can we depend on, like the squad that we have now, can we depend on Nkunku to play as a 9? And if there's any tactical change, can we also, because here are the options. We either play Nkunku as a 9 with Palmer behind him, or we decide to play a false 9. If we play a false 9, we can either play Nkunku as a false 9, or we can play Palmer as a false 9. Now, playing Palmer as a false 9 has two major issues. One, he likes to be on the ball every time, and we know striking in the game, like striking in Premier League, like requires, like always makes wants to touch the ball like very, very few times. Be it Man City, who have always the highest possession, be it Liverpool, the striker always gets to the ball the least times. Now, if we put there Palmer will be forced, like he's always doing whenever his players as attacking midfielder, to come back. And now, there will be no pressure to the defenders. And we all know the reason why all these good defenders are playing so well, like you see Liverpool, how Van Dijk and Konate are playing so well, is because they have managed to stay away far from pressure. Like they play like there's always zero pressure. And that's why they are playing so well. And I don't know how their midfield always just blocks everything. Like there's no any game I've seen Van Dijk and Konate being pressured as much as other teams are being pressured. And if we play like that, we will make it so that all these other teams, like we play against Brighton, we play against Tottenham, will be making even all these low tier defenders to play without pressure, because there's nobody who's pressuring them. And if there's nobody who's pressuring them, they're not making mistakes. If they're not making mistakes, you're not scoring. Now, that's one huge problem. Now, the second problem is like Palmer has not been scoring using a header, not like has not been scoring header goals. Now, that whole thing of crosses, we will be disadvantaged. Not that Jackson has been scoring headers, but you just know if somebody has not been doing this, you can't expect him all suddenly try to do the same thing. So all that playing with wingers will be disadvantaged. Now we'll be always trying to come inside or hit those 45s or try to pass through balls because we don't have a striker who can attack across. That's the second huge problem. Now, with Nkunku, I'm not sure if what we saw whenever he was brought in as a sub is the same thing we'll see when he starts the game, because in Conference League and the first few games in Carabao, he was playing so well as a number 9. He was even our top scorer. If he'll do the same thing with huge teams or huge games, Premier League games, if he's given enough time, is something I'm not sure. I haven't seen unless we try it. But if you ask me, Palmer should not play as a false 9. If you are playing as a false 9 also, it means that we might not necessarily need a single attacking midfielder. We'll have to have a 3 midfield, which means Palmer will have to go from the midfield. Like we will have either to move to right wing or move to left wing. And that is also one thing that we have been discussing, because we don't know. There are very few goals coming from the wings. And we have some of the best wingers in Premier League. Like you take Neto, you put him, like the way he was in Wolves, he was scoring. I don't know if it's just us, because some people usually play so well in mid-table teams, and when they are taken to bigger teams, teams with pressure. I don't want to say even Chelsea is a bigger team, like teams with a high amount of pressure. They all of a sudden don't play as they used to. I don't know if it's tactical changes or anything. Even you go to Man City, Grealish was playing so well, but when he came to Man City, all that assist and goal ratio just reduced, which you can say it is expected with those players. But I don't know if anybody will come here and say, like, all these players like Sancho, Neto, even Madueke, they are mid players. I don't think they are mid players. They are, if you remove that, like the top class wingers, the likes of Salah, the likes of maybe Saka in Premier League, there's no any winger that's coming closer to all these three. Which means if Salah is making 20 or 15 goals, like all these wingers should be able to make 6, 7, even 10 goals a season. If they are making 2 or 3 goals a season, that means they're underperforming. Now, I'm not sure if any tactical change will change that. Like if we bring in a striker who's imposing, who's bringing a lot of pressure to the defenders, or if he's, some strikers usually do that. Like they put a lot of pressure, they need some man marking. Like you need to man mark them. If you man mark them, you free other players. We haven't managed to do that, and that is on tactical. That's not even on intensity, because people have been complaining about intensity. I don't think that's on intensity. I just think that's on tactical and freeing players to play the way they should, like the way they should feel comfortable playing. Now, another thing is that 4-4-2, where you have Nkunku and Palmer playing as, like, do we call it sub-10? Like they are striking or not striking, like they're that position interchangeably. I saw also Aston Villa playing that one time, where when he had Rogers and who's this, Duran. I think that time Watkins was not playing, but he was playing with them. Like you will see, they were all going in front whenever they were attacking, but whenever they had the ball, they were also contributing to midfield and passing around the box and around anything. So there are endless possibilities. I just want to see what Maresca thinks, but I think this just highlights why we need to go all out in summer to get a striker. We can't really rely on the strikers that we have. We need people first that are not injury prone. Like recently, we have been signing injury prone players. I'm not sure why. Like from the likes of Pulisic, when we're done with Pulisic, Lavia, okay, James was ours, but there's a moment where we signed a lot of even Nkunku. And we could see, you could see at the history, like even when we were signing them, we were saying, even for fun, you could just check the history and you see like he has missed at least some games every season he has played. And we kept wondering, what do the medicals check? Like if you are part of the medicals, like you don't just have to measure a person if he's right now. You have to check also their history and find what was the problem with them. Is it recurring? Can we help them? Can we do surgery? Can it be stopped? What are the evidence that it can be stopped? Because if you don't do that, now you'll have a situation where you have certain players who are not even playing, but they are always injured. If you go to Liverpool, like their crop of players, like their backbone of players, they've been playing together for at least 7 years. Like if you change the midfield, like there has been even a smooth transition, and none of those 11 players has had any injury, any huge injury. The only person who had injury was Thiago, and he was shipped off immediately. Started all these problems. As we have all these people who are injury prone on 80 or 9-year contracts. Now, somebody like Lavia, if he's having this injury successive every season, we'll be stuck with him for like 7 or 8 good years. Just every season he's having all this injury. Nkunku has been here for, I think, 4 years or 3 years to the minimum. But you can count the games he has played because he was here when Lampard was here. I think so. I'm not sure, but I think so. I'll have to check if that's not, but he has been here for long. But you can tell if you check the history, if you check how many games he has played all through those 4 years, you find there are very few games. And this is going to happen if we are going to sign all these guys who are injured. Now that's the problem of signing even younger people, because younger people always don't have that history of playing before you can assess them and like really have evidence that they'll have recurring injury. So that's a big problem. But going forward, and even when a lot of people are saying like sign Osimhen, yeah, Osimhen is good, but have you seen his injury record? He will be another one who will be missing. Like the way, especially how intense Premier League is, I am so sure he'll be injured every season. We have to look at strikers, yes, big game strikers, but we have also to look at strikers who can play this game without a lot of interruption. That's the only way we can like sustain a momentum if we have one. Like if you are winning games, the only way we can sustain those wins is to ensure that none of these players if they are in the first 11 gets injury. And if we have to do that, we have to assemble a squad that is not injury prone. Anyway, subscribe.